I am Jon Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo, and for the past 5 years, I have been an EV driver. I love the technology that goes behind electric vehicles. What people don't always think about EVs is the speed and performance, and Jaguar is changing the narrative. Meet the 2019 Jaguar I-Pace 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. And this beauty is mine for the next few hours as I drive along the California coast. Come along with us. Jaguar is known for an iconic design, and usually what that design is a gigantic hood to put in those big engines that Jaguar usually has in their car. But when you've got an electric vehicle, you don't have an engine. So they did it a bit differently with the I-Pace. Since there isn't a big engine in the front, they actually moved the cab forward. It's appropriately called a cab forward design. It's gonna give you a lot more interior space inside the car, but they kept a lot of the iconic Jag iconography that you get from Jaguar's lineup still with the I-Pace. You can start by that big old grill's there. A lot of EVs don't have that grille because they're not always necessary. This one's kind of form and function. It keeps the car in line with Jaguar's brand identity, but it also sends air to the radiator to help cool it. So a lot of cool things done with the design. There's actually a hood scoop right above that front grille that's gonna send air all the way up from the car over and then all the way back down. And kind of interestingly, you're not gonna see a wiper on the back of the car, and you don't need one, evidently. Now, it's not raining and I can't test it, but because how this car handles wind, the wind would send the rain or the water droplets right off the back. So Jaguar's done a really good job trying to use wind and at least get the drag coefficient down as little as possible to maintain the range. A lot of tech inside and outside the car, obviously. 360 cameras, you got park assist that'll help you park the car. The I-Pace is the first time the In Control Touch Pro Duo made its way to Jaguar. You might have seen it in some of the Range Rover products, but it's here now. Essentially, it just screens. It just screens on screens on screens. You've got a 10-inch screen, you've got a 5.5-inch screen. The knobs to change the climate have screens. There's a screen in the dash, and it all works together pretty well. Kind of a cool feature. So the knobs, I mentioned they've got screens like everything else, but they do different stuff. Obviously you can turn them, but you can push it, and that'll give you the seat controls. Turn on either the cooling or the warming. If you pull it up towards you, that'll control the fan speed. They made them sort of multi-use, which is neat. The interior overall is crazy premium. It is soft touch materials. It's wrapped in leathers. It looks and feels really nice inside of it. The in-dash system definitely has a bit of a learning curve. But over the past, now we've been driving for about 60 miles. We started to get the hang of it. It is pretty highly customizable. There's just cubby storage everywhere in this car. You can put water bottles. The main center console here is big enough. Everything you'd expect is here, from memory seats to safety to whatever you would want from a modern car. You're going to get it. It's been pretty comfortable in the front. We took a couple seats in the back, and there's plenty of leg room for anywhere you want to go, and you don't have that hump in the middle, so you could really put 3 people in the back pretty comfortably. Obviously, there are different trim levels available. It's gonna start just under $70,000 at about $69,500. And then you've got the first edition, which has every option checked off. Assuming you're not getting a first edition, the more letters you have in the name, the more expensive the car is gonna get. So the I-Pace is all-wheel drive. You've got 2 electric motors sitting in between the front axle and the rear axle. That's gonna get you to 60 in 4.5 seconds and is an incredible amount of torque. It's 512 foot-pounds and 394 horsepower. It is insanely fast. So you think about driving a normal car, to get the torque, which is the pulling power, you need to sort of wait for the gears to start to spool up. With an electric vehicle, all that torque is there pretty much instantaneously. It's right. It's an analogy of using an electric drill. As soon as you pull that trigger, the drill bit is spinning as fast as it's going to ever go. Same thing with the car. As soon as you punch the accelerator pedal, all that torque is there. So you really can go fast very quickly, especially from a stop. And when I say fast, I don't mean like casually meandering to 60. I mean throw you back in your seat, jowls pinned back type speed. This is 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. So the 90 kilowatt hour pack is gonna give you about a 240 mile range. So I think when people think about driving electric cars, and when I started, the first thought that came into my head was a range anxiety. You don't necessarily have that perceived convenience of going to a gas station and just filling up. But when you've got a car that gives you 240 miles of range, we've been driving 50 miles through hills and canyons, and it seems to be a really accurate sense of how much range you're going to get. EVs by nature are quiet. It's one of their hallmark features. Jaguar did a really nice job with noise dampening. If you want that quiet EV ride, you totally get it. You barely hear any wind noise as it kind of comes through the scoops up front and goes over the windshield. But Jaguar has done something called active sound design, where you're going to get a sound that you would get if you were an internal combustion car. When you would step on the accelerator or the gas, you're going to get that noise. And it sounds awesome, it sounds like the future, and it sounds like this. The 90 kilowatt hour battery pack sits like a skateboard across the bottom of the car. What that's going to give you is a 50-50 weight distribution, which means when you're going around these turns, the car is going to hold the road incredibly well. You're not going to feel any sort of body roll that you might get in a car with a big weighted engine in front. There's only so much we can test and check out in just a 3.5 hour ride with the I-Pace, but overall the car was really impressive. This didn't strike me as a rookie effort from Jaguar at an electric vehicle. The car was fast, the car was nimble, the car handled well, and most importantly, the car kinda had a soul, which is something you can't really say with most electric vehicles. Overall, in just my short time with the Jaguar I-Pace, I came away incredibly impressed.